So Anne. Okay, yeah.
The AAUW forum will be starting in just a few minutes at 6:30. We'll be starting in just about 3 minutes. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 Stanwood-Camano AAUW Candidate Forum. My name is Ann Milton, and I will be your moderator for the evening. AAUW is a nonpartisan, individual member organization with branches in every congressional district in the U.S. Our local branch has been part of this community since 1936. For 140 years, AAUW members have worked to advance equity for women and girls through advocacy, education, and research, goals which can only be accomplished when an informed electorate makes careful choices when they mark their ballots. Towards that end, we are pleased to join with the Stanwood-Camano News to bring you this candidate forum. This forum is being recorded and will be available for viewing at a date to be announced. That recording may not be reproduced, nor may any part of it be used in campaign promotionals. Let me explain the format we will follow tonight. We will proceed by office being sought. Each candidate, in alphabetical order, will give a 3-minute opening statement, providing information about their qualifications and comment on the compelling issues of the race. We ask that candidates focus on their own positions and issues, allowing their opponents to speak for themselves. Each candidate's time will be tracked by our official timer, Nancy Roberts, who will warn candidates 30 seconds before their time will expire, and again when the time has elapsed. Each candidate, when it's your turn, will turn on both the audio and video in the corner of their picture or screen. Kindly turn them both off when you are finished. After both candidates for an office have spoken, we will have some questions for them submitted in advance by registrants. Due to time constraints, it may not be possible to include all of the questions submitted. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond. There will be no time for rebuttals. After questions, each candidate will have the opportunity to make a 1-minute closing statement. We will begin with the candidates for national office. The race for U.S. Senator is contested, but neither candidate will be here tonight. Those candidates are incumbent Senator Patty Murray, Democrat, and Tiffany Smiley, Republican. Please see your Washington State voter pamphlet for information on these candidates. We are fortunate to have the candidates for the House of Representatives here tonight in District 2. There are 2 candidates for this 2-year term, namely Rick Larsen, Democrat incumbent, and Dan Matthews, Republican. Rick, you will begin your 3-minute opening first, and Dan, you may begin speaking immediately after Rick's time has expired. Rick Larsen, please begin.
Thank you very much, Ann. I appreciate the chance to be here. And is my sound okay?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank the University Women for hosting us tonight, for sponsoring this, so that we have an opportunity to share with voters what the issues are in this campaign for U.S. Congress. My name is Rick Larsen. I'm the incumbent, and I'm running for re-election, and I'd ask for the support of folks in this race. This is a critical race for a lot of reasons. One is to make sure that the things that we did pass in Congress over the last several months actually come to fruition. And what are those things? Well, just recently, Congress passed the a Medicare prescription drug bill that will finally give Medicare the authority to negotiate lower drug prices for seniors. Starting next year, insulin will be no more than $35 a month for their copay if you're on the Medicare prescription drug program. And then we'll move into limiting your annual out-of-pocket cost to no more than $2,000 within the Medicare prescription drug program. And then we're going to start negotiating lower drug prices of the top 10 most used medications that seniors use in the prescription drug program. That's what we've delivered. That's what I've delivered. And I'd ask for people to support me in my reelection. We also passed the PACT Act. You might know about the PACT Act. This is the bill that helps our veterans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, who are now getting cancers and illnesses as a result of burn pits that were used to just burn all sorts of things in Iraq and Afghanistan. It poisoned the air. It poisoned our women and men serving in the military. And the PACT Act will bring them health care faster, more immediately than if they went through the regular Veterans Affairs process. We passed that earlier this year. Now we have to make that bill happen. Last November, we passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This is the major transportation bill that will help build a cleaner and greener transportation system here in the Northwest that will create good paying jobs that pay well for women and men who will be in charge of building a next generation infrastructure like our roads, our bridges, our highways, infrastructure like investing in broadband to close the digital divide that we see in our
30
schools.
seconds.
Thank you very much. This is an important bill to create jobs. So when you look at creating jobs, building a cleaner, greener transportation system, supporting our veterans, and of course, bringing lower prescription drug prices to our seniors. This is what I'm about, and I'd ask for your support. Thanks again.
Dan Matthews, could you start your video?
Are you there?
We can hear you, Dan. Elaine, could you activate starting his video? Hit the start video, Dan, if you could do that. Why don't you go ahead and start talking, Dan? Your 3-minute opening, please.
I see no icon for starting the video. We had the unmute, but there was no icon for the start the video.
Okay.
Well, in any case, I'm sorry, I will start. I'm Dan Matthews, born and raised in this area, as was my wife. And my background is that I was a Vietnam veteran, a pilot in the United States Air Force for 22 years, retiring as a lieutenant colonel. I served also in the airlines for 31 years, retiring as a 747 captain instructor and examiner, and then later going to Boeing for 8 years as a consultant in pilot instruction. I also served on a school board for 4 years in the Shoreline District, and learned an awful lot about the education business in that regard. I'm a graduate of the University of Puget Sound with a degree in political science. I also served as an intern to a senator, and then I also obtained a graduate degree in public administration, a master's from Golden Gate University. My involvement in public affairs has been long, and Jan and I have enjoyed raising our 4 kids, and now we have 12 grandkids. That keeps us hopping. I believe our country is in crisis, or I wouldn't be in this race. The main motivator for that crisis, I believe, has been improper decisions, poor decisions by the prevailing party, and the direction we're going has put our economy at risk, our borders at risk for sure. It's caused inflation, and we are now in a recession. Crime and lawlessness is threatening around the country. Our energy independence is no longer, we are now a dependent country, and that doesn't need to be. I have particular concern with the family being under attack, if you will, and that just doesn't have to be. But really, it runs down in many cases just reigning in an out of control government that's just been unrestrained, growing in leaps and bounds and costing us more and more. We need to protect our national security, certainly around the world. There is unrest in every quarter, and whether it's in Europe and Russia or in China and the South China Sea, all of that speaks to that we need to ensure our military readiness. So my background in veterans affairs, my background in aviation, and my expertise in that regard, and my background in education, not just simply
30 seconds.
Kids. How long again? In any
30
case,
seconds.
I intend to really speak to the issues tonight and indicate why I think I will be better equipped to address those things that need to be changed. Thank you. And could you offer up the icons so that I can go visual?
In the corner of your screen, there should be a few dots when you touch it. And if you can hit that and try start video, that should activate your video. I do have 2 questions for both of you. Rick, you will be first. Dan, you will be second. The first one is, what is your position on women's reproductive rights? Rick?
Thank you for the question. I am pro-choice. I'm 100% pro-choice. I'm the only pro-choice candidate in this race. And I think the fight to overturn the Dobbs decision started on the day the Dobbs decision came out. I strongly support Roe v. Wade, and we need to put Roe v. Wade into law, codify Roe v. Wade, and I voted for the Women's Health Protection Act in order to do just that, in order to codify Roe v. Wade. Meanwhile, we need to ensure that women can travel safely across state lines to receive legal medical procedures. There's concern that women who are now in states where abortion is banned, that it will be illegal for them to cross state into Washington state to get what is a legal procedure in our state. We need to protect those women as they cross state lines. We need to ensure as well that we're funding reproductive healthcare services through private healthcare providers as well as nonprofit healthcare providers, and continue that effort.
Stop.
So I'm strongly pro-choice, and I'd ask people for their support for that and other reasons. Thank you.
Same question to you, Dan. What is your position on women's reproductive rights?
Thank you, Ann. I support the pro-life position that life matters, and we may not ever free ourselves of the abortion option or the abortion dilemma, but my objective instead, it will be a balancing response to fully promote the adoption option so that we truly provide an alternative to this death option of abortion. We must extend ourselves, all of us, with total compassion and love, because that's what's been missing in this.
30 seconds.
A political football, and it doesn't need to be. We need to find adoptive couples that'll take the baby and make it all, if you will, without cost, so that there's less of an economic dilemma. This is Operation Special Delivery, and I intend to promote that. If we can promote abortion, we can promote adoption and give life its opportunity to extend itself.
The second question, what federal policies will you support or oppose to help close the gender pay gap? Rick, you're first, Dan second.
Thanks. Well, I think first is to recognize that we need to ensure that the opportunities for jobs that pay well are extended to everybody. And especially when at this time when employers are having a difficult time hiring, we need to ensure that everybody has an opportunity to get into the workforce. So helping families with childcare is going to be an important part, which will help women make a choice, actually have a choice either to go into the workforce or not, because right now they don't have that choice. Many do not have that choice because of childcare costs in the home.
30 seconds.
So that's one thing we need to do. The second thing we need to do is actually have an enforceable standard in the United States to close the pay gap among genders. I voted for the Lilly Ledbetter Act. I voted for other provisions that other laws that will help close the gender wage gap. So it's not one thing, it's a multifaceted approach. Thank you.
Dan?
Well, the first thing that strikes me is that in this world of confusion, I'm trying to wonder how many genders do we have? Do we have just male and female, or do we have a multiplicity of genders and thus are confused on where the gap is and who gets hired? My experience in the military is there was no gender gap, there was no pay gap. Everybody in the military was treated equally, and that's one of the hallmarks of having served in the military, is that everybody was a comrade, a teammate.
30 seconds.
In that regard, I think childcare and those issues are important, but I think what we need to do is really strengthen the family so that families can become their own best advocates for these issues and all the other issues, particularly childcare and education.
Okay. Each candidate may now make a 1-minute closing statement. Rick, you'll be first and Dan Matthews second.
Well, thank you very much for the chance to answer some questions and to ask for the support from the folks in North Snohomish County and South Skagit, as well as anyone else that's going to be watching this the next couple of days. My name is Rick Larsen, and I'd ask for your support because I'm strongly supporting important issues, important people that I currently represent, like lowering prescription drug costs, like investing in our infrastructure and creating jobs, and supporting our veterans, especially most recently by supporting the PACT Act to help victims of the burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan.
30 seconds.
So with that, I will ask for the support and look forward to seeing everyone on the campaign trail. And I want to thank you again, the AAUW, for hosting and sponsoring this event. Thank you.
Dan?
Well, thank you, Ann. And I'm really sorry, like Rick, that we didn't have more time to engage and discuss all the issues. one of the biggest issues, I think, is the division in our society. And I hope to address that with civility and statesmanship, even in our discourse here. I'm really after, I guess, in everything to show that integrity is needed in our public officials. I note that Mr. Larsen says that we deserve limits on corporate power in
30 seconds.
statements, and then that he says we should get big money out of politics. Yet he's the only candidate in this race who has taken big money from corporate and other powers like Exxon and Shell, Mobil, Boeing, et cetera. It's an incredible list. I have not taken any such money, and I think that we need to have that disparity noted so that we can play with a level playing field.
Well, thank you both very much.
Sure.
We will now move on to the 10th Legislative District. And we'll be welcoming in Position 1 for Washington State. This is the 10th Legislative District Representative position. We have Greg Gilday as the incumbent Republican, and Clyde Shavers is the Democrat candidate. Greg, you will make your 3-minute opening first. Clyde Shavers, you may begin speaking immediately after Greg's time has expired. Greg, you may now begin.
All right, thank you. First, I want to thank the AAUW and the Stanwood-Camano News for putting this event on tonight. I really do appreciate it. I am Representative Greg Gilday. I'm the 3rd generation of my family to live and to work in the Stanwood-Camano area. My wife, Megan, and I have been married for 22 years, and we have 2 wonderful boys. I am a practicing attorney. I've been in practice for the last 17 years, and I focus on real estate, estate planning, and probate. I'm also a realtor and a board member for the Land Title and Escrow Company for Skagit and Island counties. I've been on numerous nonprofits over the years. I've served as a board member for the Safe Harbor Free Clinic, which is the largest free clinic north of Seattle, the Stanwood-Camano Food Bank, as well as the Stanwood-Camano Rotary Club. I was the general coordinator for the Rotary Adventure Playground out on Terry's Corner on Camano Island, which brought together over 1,000 volunteers over a 5-day period to build that playground. I've been in the legislature for 1 term now. I serve on the following committees. I am the ranking member on the Housing, Human Services, and Veterans Committee, assistant ranking on Civil Rights and Judiciary, as well as on the Capital Budget and Rules Committee. So as you can probably imagine, I have been talking with a lot of people lately, knocking on a lot of doors, and 2 topics routinely come up. And the first is public safety. People see the dramatic increase in crime lately, and they don't even feel safe in their own homes. I'd say around 75% of the people of the doors that I knock on will either have a Ring doorbell, a security camera, or something of that nature. And there are a couple of things that we can do in order to address these issues in the upcoming session. And the first is working on the pursuit bill. Allow law enforcement to do the job that they were hired to do. Right now, we've handcuffed law enforcement. They're not allowed to make that decision whether or not to pursue a suspected criminal at the local level. You know, it's going to be different whether you're going to pursue somebody in the middle of Seattle in the middle of the afternoon or whether it's on a country road in the middle of the night. Those are 2 different situations, and we need to leave that decision-making ability up to the local law enforcement. The second is the Blake decision. Now, this decision is a Supreme Court decision which effectively legalized hard narcotics in the state of Washington. There was a very small Band-Aid put on it in 2021, and we need to really come back and address that in a big way and make drugs illegal in the state of Washington. The second issue that routinely comes up is the economy and inflation. People are seeing, they're seeing the price at the pump, they're seeing the price at the grocery store, they're seeing inflation that we haven't
30
seen.
seconds.
Thank you. We haven't seen inflation as high as it is in decades. Currently it's about 8.3 year over year. Now, we are not going to solve inflation in Olympia. It's bigger than just the state of Washington, but we can stop piling on with new taxes. This last session, we had a $15 billion budget surplus. That's billion with a B, and there was no meaningful tax relief. So we need to address that issue, and we need to address fully funding our rainy day fund, because times aren't going to be as good as they are now, or as they have been, and we are going
Stop.
to in our hands. Thank you.
Thank you to AAUW and Stanwood-Camano News for hosting, and thank you everyone for watching. My name is Clyde Shavers, and I'm running for State Representative Position 1 in the 10th Legislative District. As a first-time candidate, I'm hoping to usher in a new generation of young public servants and young leaders and walk away from the politics of the past that's just divisive. As a son of a police officer, I stand by our law enforcement to provide them tools and resources like social workers and mental health experts and professionals. As someone engaged to a special education teacher, I'm fighting for better opportunities for our children, career and technical colleges, trainings, and apprenticeships. As a board member and volunteer for Skagit Friendship House, a homeless shelter, I'm fighting for affordable housing so that everyone can have a place called home. And as someone who studied environmental law with the Natural Resources Defense Council, I'm fighting for protecting our environment, for sustainable fishing and sustainable farming. And as the only pro-choice candidate running for this position, I'm making sure that government stays out of our personal healthcare decisions. So I'm asking everyone tonight to vote for the candidate who exemplifies public service, who will fight for us, stand up for you. Let's vote for the candidate we believe in and not for a political party. I have been doorbelling and calling voters across this district, and we share values and principles that I hope to express in the state legislature. So I'm excited to run in this position, and I'm looking forward to earning your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 2 questions. First, what is your position on gun safety regulations and current Washington laws on open carry? It'll be Greg followed by Clyde. And Clyde, if you can keep your video on, please.
Am I ready? Okay.
Yes.
So the issue on gun safety is that, often I'll get emails or phone calls from constituents saying we need to do something on the gun safety issue. But unfortunately, do something is not a policy that we can actually talk about. We need to look at not limiting gun owners' rights, law-abiding gun owners' rights, because by doing that, we're not limiting the shootings. And right now we're getting the worst of both worlds, because we are, over the last couple of sessions, we have instituted a number of policies that they seem to have good intentions, but they're not actually addressing the underlying issues.
30 seconds.
And so we need to look for policies that protect the rights of lawful gun owners while keeping the public safe. Gun-free zones feel good, but they don't work. Schools, they can be better designed in order to limit how many points of entrance. The Stanwood-Camano School District just built a new high school here, and they limited how many external doors they have in order to provide for the safety for their kids. We need to provide more resources for school safety officers, and we also need to look at mental health and.
As a son of a police officer and a Navy veteran, I'm a trained steward of firearms. But I don't believe that the sound of gunfire should be in our communities, in our schools, and in our cities. So while I do believe in gun ownership, I believe that we need to have reasonable gun safety measures. And I'm coming in this perspective of being a veteran myself, where veterans commit suicide using their own firearms. I'm coming in the perspective of teachers, where my fiance, a special education teacher, is afraid that she can't protect her students
30 seconds.
From shootings. And finally, I come from the perspective of law enforcement. My dad, and him being a police officer, encountering criminals with illegal firearms. So I believe that we do need to ensure zones without guns, like the Capitol, like schools, and other public facilities. So I do believe in reasonable gun measures. Thank you.
Okay. Second question. What is the top legislative issue facing your constituency, and what have you done to help support or oppose it? Greg?
Okay, so that's a broad question to answer in just 60 seconds, because there's a lot of things that intertwine in Olympia, as you can probably imagine. So I think one of the top issues is housing. We are in a housing crunch in this state. We're about 250,000 housing units short from where we need to be, and we need to address that. And that ties in to other problems such as homelessness, mental health, drug addiction. And so we need to address housing so people have a place to live. We need to get affordable housing. And when I say affordable housing, I am not talking about government subsidized housing. I'm talking about truly affordable housing. The only way we're going to get affordable housing is to make housing affordable to build. And every time we increase regulation, every time we increase the burden on builders to build more homes, that increases the price, which lowers the amount of people that are able to buy homes in this market, especially with the increase in interest rates. So we need to look at really bringing down the cost of building homes in this state.
Clyde.
I believe that choice is a prevalent issue now. The overturning of Roe v. Wade is un-American by taking away rights from women. I believe that government and politicians should have no business in a woman's right to choose. So I fully support access to contraceptives, access to abortions, and access to prenatal and preventative care, and also treatment and care for women at risk due to pregnancy or miscarriages. So this
30 seconds.
This issue transcends political boundaries. I believe that our campaign is about ensuring our rights, ensuring our freedoms, and this is a very important issue. When we vote for a candidate who is anti-choice, these rights are being taken away. Thank you.
It's time now for your 1-minute closing statement. Greg, you're first, followed by Clyde.
Thank you again to the AAUW and Stanwood-Camano News for putting this on tonight. I really do appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who showed up to listen to the candidates tonight. So being the 3rd generation in this area and raising the 4th generation, I have a vested interest in keeping this district the best in the state. I believe that my background, my leadership ability, and frankly, my track record over the last 2 years makes me the best candidate for this position. When I go back down to Olympia, I'm going to continue to fight for good jobs, good schools, and good government. And in doing so, I'm going to continue to work across the aisle and
30
listen to all
seconds.
parties, because frankly, neither side has a monopoly on the truth. And so I've had an open door policy since I've been elected to office, and I'm going to continue that. Again, I'm Representative Greg Gilday. I'm running for re-election to the State House of Representatives in the 10th Legislative District, Position 1, and I respectfully ask for your vote. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Clyde.
Thank you everyone for watching. And again, thank you AAUW and Stanwood-Camano News for hosting. Like I said in my intro, I strongly recommend you look at the candidate's background experiences and see who exemplifies lifelong public service, who grew up in a family of public servants, like my family, of law enforcement professionals, of teachers and nurses. I'm fighting for a woman's right to choose, fighting for services and benefits for veterans and active duty personnel. I'm fighting for lowering prescription drug costs and ensuring everyone has
30 seconds.
quality health care. And I'm fighting to make sure that our children have better opportunities, not just going to 4-year college or university, but opportunities like apprenticeships and career and technical trainings. My name is Clyde Shavers, and thank you very much for listening, and I'm looking forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. The next office is for Position 2, Representative of the 10th Legislative District. There are 2 candidates for this 2-year term, namely Karen Lesetmoe, Republican, and Dave Paul, the Democratic incumbent. Karen, you will make your 3-minute opening first, and Dave Paul, you may begin speaking immediately after Karen's time has expired. Karen Lesetmoe, please begin.
Oops.
We're waiting for Karen to come in, and there she is. Karen, can you kindly unmute and now start your video? Thank you.
Hi there. Okay, apologies for that. My name is Karen Lesetmoe. I am running for House of Representatives as Position 2. I am a United States veteran. I joined the Navy after 9/11 because I felt a calling to serve my country. That's what brought me here to Whidbey Island in 2004. So we've been here and I've fallen in love with the community and the dynamics that we have with nature and with the beautiful environment we have and our people. A little bit more about me. I came to the United States when I was 6 years old with my family, and all I had was just a suitcase and no toys. And through hard work and determination, my family has grown to become successful. So not only do I believe in the American dream, but I am proof of the American dream. And that's why I'm running, because I would like to continue that. My husband and I, we have a blended family with 6 children, and education is extremely important. And right now, our education system is failing our kids when we're only having 40% of our kids at grade level or passing in math, and only 50% at grade level or passing in English. That is a very huge problem. And then we have to address those issues with more transparency for parents. I think COVID has been a blessing, and also in that way, because now we have become more involved with our children's education, and it's really bringing to light how far behind our kids have gotten. So also, I'm a real estate broker as well. So affordable housing is a huge, important issue that we have, and public safety ties very closely to that, because those that are the most vulnerable in our communities tend to also live in communities that are affected directly by high crime. And so when I have first-time home buyers and the only homes that are affordable to them have been plagued with increase in crime due to bad legislation, I am compelled to do something about it. So my name is Karen Lesetmoe again. Thank you so much. And I am really looking forward to be able to share some more of my ideas with you.
Thank you. Dave?
Well, thanks so much, Ann, and thanks to the AAUW and the Stanwood-Camano News for hosting the forum tonight. It's so nice to be here, and happy to have everybody here to join us. So folks, I'm Dave Paul. My family and I live in Oak Harbor, and we've got 4 wonderful children. I'm fortunate that our older 3 kids just graduated from college, and our youngest is a senior at the high school. And my wife teaches at Western as well. And I work at Skagit Valley College. I've been fortunate to have worked there for the last 14 years, and that work has really helped shape the work I do in the state legislature. And when I got elected 4 years ago, I promised to listen to everybody in the community and then work to help advocate for folks in Olympia for our community. And I focused a lot on education and pathways so that our K-12 education, both schools have pathways to family wage jobs, and focus not just on that pathway to university and college, but also community colleges and apprenticeship programs. And excited for the upcoming session to be working more with our K-12 educators on ways of improving workforce training in our K-12 schools. I've worked a lot on mental health. That is something that we've heard a lot from our community. Really proud that we got funding in a proviso that I wrote to help get Island County hundreds of thousands of dollars to help with youth mental health. And then I'm proud that we turned to young people and said, what services would be most helpful for you? And learn how the importance of peer mentoring and having activities in the summer. And really pleased to see those activities and that work rolling out this past summer. Looking forward, we've talked to thousands I've talked to about 3,500 voters this summer, and housing affordability is a critical issue that the legislature will need to be working on next year. I suspect that'll be the #1 issue that the legislature works on, and looking at ways of helping also not only making sure that we're improving housing stock in our community, but also looking at ways of helping to make homeownership more affordable by lowering property taxes.
30 seconds.
So I really look forward to your questions this evening, and would be honored to earn your vote on November 8th.
Thank you. Karen, the first question is for you. What do you see as the top legislative priority for your district? And what specific bill will you support or initiate to address it?
So right now, across the board, when I'm outdoor knocking, I hear issues with the high cost of living. And one of those things that are very impactful for us is the increase in gas tax that's going to be hitting us this coming January. It's expected to raise our gas prices an additional 50 cents to $1 So that is going to be my number one top priority going into the legislation, to be able
30
to
seconds.
push back on that, because it does translate to higher prices. And it hurts the most vulnerable. You know, when you're talking about higher prices with groceries and and the cost of gas and transportation for people who have to go to and from work, that is a big problem.
Dave, a similar question. As an incumbent, what do you see as the number one issue facing the constituents you serve in District 10? And what strategy or bill have you employed to address that issue?
Yeah, thanks so much for that question. And so we're hearing a lot, not only about, access to reproductive rights that has been put on us by the Supreme Court, but also on affordability. And I wrote a bill last year that helped provide a sales tax holiday for Labor Day purchases to help with back to school costs. That passed the House on bipartisan support with the support of our business community, but died in the Senate.
30 seconds.
I'll be bringing that back next year. And again, I think that housing affordability will be the number one issue that the legislature will be needing to address next year. And we'll be looking at ways of helping to expand the primary exemption for especially smaller homes to help lower property taxes for folks.
The next question is the same for both of you. What is your position on climate protections? Karen?
Climate protections is very important especially when we live in such a rural environment, compared to other districts that are only 33 square miles. Our district is huge. And as I drive around, I look at the beautiful scenery, and I'm so proud and honored to be part of this community, because when I see tourists that come here from, other countries just to visit our beautiful area, I can drive by and say we live here. And so protecting that is going to be my one of our number one issues. But we also have to do it in a way that makes sense for our community and what the community wants and needs. And that is the most important thing, is that there is that all of our voices are heard with this issue.
Thank you. Thank you. Dave?
Oh, thanks so much, Anne.
Your position.
Yeah, thank you so much. So really proud of the work we've done over the last 4 years to help improve, address climate change and help improve the quality of life in our community. So one of the most important bills helps us on a path to have 100% clean energy in our electric grid. And I think that legislation was very smart. It has some safeguards against the last couple of percentages of clean energy that are the most expensive, and have some safeguards to help get our public utilities and our energy companies on board with that.
30 seconds.
We've done great work on helping to reduce carbon in our transportation grid, helping to make sure that our refineries are producing the cleanest fuel possible. It's going to take us a generation to get away from gas-powered cars, and we want to make sure that we're doing that right. And really, I'm pleased to see the electrification of our ferry system.
Okay, thank you. It's time now for your 1-minute closing statement. Karen, you're first, followed by Dave.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for hosting this event, and thank you to all the viewers that have, that are viewing right now. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to run for office, and it is definitely part of the American dream. If I were to tell 6-year-old me when I landed here that I would be in this position running for an office and representing over 100,000 other Americans, I wouldn't have believed you. So thank you so much, and I hope to earn your vote and your support this November. So have a great evening, and it was good talking with you.
Thank you, Anne. So thank you, everybody, for attending this evening's forum. And I've really worked hard to make sure that I'm trying to listen to folks across the district and advocate for their concerns in Olympia. And when I have talked to so many voters this summer on the three issues I'm hearing most, I think we've worked really hard to help address those. So I've heard a lot about public safety, and I'm proud to have earned the endorsement of the Skagit County Sheriff and the Oak Harbor Police Chief and the state troopers. And
30 seconds.
Women's reproductive health is such an important issue for so many in our community, and proud to be the only candidate in this race who is pro-choice and working to make sure that we're protecting women's reproductive health in Olympia. And finally, on affordability, we've done really good work to help improve affordability and especially in housing affordability, making sure that that's our number one concern in the upcoming legislative session. Thanks so much, everybody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote.
Thank you both very much. The Snohomish County Prosecuting Attorney Office is next. This is a 4-year term, and the two candidates are Jason Cummings, Democrat, and Brett Rogers, Republican. Jason, you will make your 3-minute opening first. Brett Rogers, you will follow when his time is called. Jason Cummings, please begin.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Jason Cummings, and I'm running for Snohomish County Prosecuting Attorney. I'd like to thank the Stanwood-Camano Island News and AAUW for hosting this event this evening. A little bit about myself. I'm a local kid. Grew up in Edmonds, learned to swim at Yost Park Pool, spent many a summer up at the Stanwood-Camano Island Fair, and have been just honored this opportunity to learn, grow, and do more for our community. I've raised my kids in this community, and I've served this community the last 24 years in the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, last 15 as the Chief Civil Deputy. That's given me the opportunity to work with the elected officials throughout this county and earn their honor and respect. Most importantly, their support. Endorsed from the North County area from the county council members, including Council Member Naring. We also have the endorsement of the mayors from Stanwood, Arlington, Marysville, and many others throughout this region. As we head forward into the next 4 years for the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, I'm excited to bring that leadership and experience to the citizens. The three main areas I want to focus on as prosecutor is 1, safe, livable communities. 2nd is transparency, and the 3rd is integrity. When it comes to safe, livable communities, I think one of the things we are seeing every day is a struggle with the opioid addiction and the crime that's stemming on our streets from substance use disorder and mental health. And we really need to rally and focus our efforts in that area. I've been proud of the work I've done as the lead point attorney for our county in the lawsuits against Big Pharma. In fact, I spend most of the day in meetings, both in the morning and the afternoon, speaking with clients, talking about how we can address the opioid addiction issues in our communities through the proceeds from those lawsuits we've had against the pharmaceutical industries. When it comes to transparency, I'm proud of the work I've done in leading the county's efforts to put together a law and justice dashboard. This has been a long project, working with the Institute for State and Local Government out of New York. We've been helped with funding from the Microsoft Corporation. And this is a partnership with the sheriff, the courts, and our other law and justice providers to actually put forward a dashboard that works with all the criminal justice data for citizens to have a better understanding of what's going on within that system. We hope to go live here shortly this fall. It's been a long process. We want to make sure we get it right and not rush something out.
30
And then finally,
seconds.
when it comes to integrity, one of the most important things for any prosecuting attorney's office, and it's been one of the hallmarks that I've had as the chief civil deputy these last 15 years, is to ensure there are no politics in the office. We need to make decisions based on facts and the law, and we can never let politics enter into the decisions and the advice that we provide. So looking forward to entertaining questions this evening, and I look forward for your support as we head to November 8th. And again, thank you so much for having us here this evening.
Okay. Brett Rogers.
Thank you. My name is Brett Rogers. I'm running for Snohomish County Prosecuting Attorney. In addition to being an attorney, I have over 20 years of experience in law enforcement. That was where I spent the bulk of my career. I worked for Seattle PD for 18 years, worked my way up through the ranks, attended law school while working full-time for SPD. Did a wide variety of functions there. I was a patrol officer. I was a detective sergeant in the domestic violence unit. I conducted internal investigations for 4 years. So I investigated other police officers, other members of the department. And that's really, I think, the unique aspect that I bring to this job. I also have extensive management experience with SPD. I've led teams as large as 120. I've got experience setting policy, setting strategy, making sure that the line staff have the training and tools they need to do their jobs, serving the people. And that's what I will be bringing to the role of prosecuting attorney. The elected official is not a trial lawyer. The elected official is a manager of the office. And I have, like I said, extensive management experience. And I think the law enforcement background will help, especially in these times that we find ourselves in. The last number of years, in the name of compassion, we've enabled drug addiction, we've excused criminal activity, criminal behavior, and we've allowed our fellow human beings to continue to live in some truly deplorable conditions. And this has to change. We need to do something about that. So what we can be compassionate without turning our back on crime victims. We can, I look at it as tough love. Holding people accountable for their actions is an act of compassion. And I look forward to kind of turning the page, bringing a new tempo, bringing a new tone to the attorney's office. Kind of like I did with SPD, I will set new policy, set new strategies, and make sure that the deputy prosecutors have the training and tools they need to serve the people of Snohomish County. Thank you.
Thank you. The first question is twofold. What are your strategies or proposals for addressing the opioid and fentanyl crisis in our community? How do you advocate for proper mental health crisis management and operational effectiveness in the judicial system? Jason, you're first.
Wow. With 1 minute to answer this question, that's a huge issue. Obviously, as I indicated earlier, I've been the point person dealing with our lawsuits against Big Pharma and talking about the opioid crisis that is affecting and impacting our community. We're working on strategies. Part of that is looking at the partnerships with the cities. When the dollars start to flow in, we need to make sure that we are not running 15 siloed independent programs, but looking at a holistic approach for our region and our county. And I'm looking forward to partnering with our cities. Many of the conversations I've had with mayors focus on
30
that area
seconds.
and how we can work together and make a difference to have impactful programs and not just throw money in individual silos that are not going to have a regional benefit. When it comes to the mental health issues, I've worked with Involuntary Treatment Act cases for many years, and we need greater funding and greater support. I believe in the opportunities for diversion, therapeutic alternatives, prosecution, where we can meet people where they're at and deal with the root cause of their addiction. These are critical programs, and we need to support them moving forward to help get people out of the cycle of crime and into recovery.
Thank you. Great.
So as far as strategy goes, we need to work with the folks in Olympia, the legislators in Olympia, to fix our broken drug possession laws. But in the meantime, we need to rigorously enforce the laws that we already have on the books. Fentanyl is deadly. We can't treat it like a run-of-the-mill marijuana from the 1960s. This is deadly stuff. I will also, of course, advocate very strongly for additional mental health resources. The mental health system in our state is broken, but just because that's broken, we should not punish crime victims because of a broken mental health system. We need to do both. We need to prosecute crime, protect victims, protect our communities, and advocate for additional resources for mental health. Thank you.
Thank you. Second question. What is your position on equity in prosecution and law enforcement? Jason.
First and foremost, as I talked before about the importance of integrity within the office, is make sure we're making decisions based on the facts of the law. But within there, I think it's important. And one of the reasons I'm excited to be working on the dashboard is part of the function of the dashboard is to identify where we've had disparate impacts to BIPOC members of our community. So it doesn't necessarily answer the question, but identifies, here's a problem. Let's talk about why there's a disparate impact right there. At the end of the day, the law and justice system is supposed to operate in a
30
blind manner,
seconds.
a blind fashion. You've seen the scales of justice. But if we treat people the same, and we have a person of color and we have a white person with the same criminal history, the same background, but there's a different charge, or I should say a different outcome, then that's where we should be asking questions. Why is there a different outcome? So I look forward to bringing that experience to the dashboard to identify those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Brett.
Yeah, Lady Justice wears a blindfold for a reason. We have to be very, very cautious when we talk about matters of equity in the legal justice system. Just because a population is over or underrepresented does not in and of itself mean that there is a problem. We need to dig in and look at the specific facts of an individual case. In our country, we're guaranteed equal protection under the law. And to me, that means everybody is held to the same standard of conduct, and everybody also has the same
30
access to
seconds.
justice. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like, maybe what your native tongue was or is, you should be treated the same. So we will treat similarly situated people similarly, again, with no regard to what they look like, where they're from, their education level, etc. Thank you.
It's time now for your 1-minute closing statement. Jason Cummings, you're first, followed by Brett Rogers.
Once again, thank you so much for hosting the forum this evening. This has been quite a process. The Office of the Prosecuting Attorney is an important position that requires experience. We're not running for Snohomish County Sheriff, we're running for Prosecuting Attorney. I'm the only candidate that's worked in the largest law office in this county. I've handled cases both criminal and civil. And there's a reason why the law enforcement, the first responders, and the deputy prosecuting attorneys across this county have endorsed my campaign, because they're looking for that experience and that understanding of the law and justice system. I've received broad bipartisan
30
support.
seconds.
Democrats, Republicans, and independents recognize that the integrity and the experience matters. I'm honored for their support, and I'm honored at the opportunity to represent Snohomish County, my lifelong home. And I look forward to meeting folks out in the campaign trail and having open dialogues next year when I'm in office. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Brett.
Snohomish County, we've got a number of significant challenges facing us. Crime is on the rise. There's a massive backlog of felony cases in the prosecutor's office that needs to be dealt with and worked through. In addition, since I started running, I've been contacted by a number of victims, specifically a pair of domestic violence victims, felony victims of assault, that have been waiting for a charging decision for 2 years. And it's not that they're waiting for their abuser to go to trial. They're still waiting to hear if the prosecutor's office
30
is going to
seconds.
charge their abuser with a crime. That's not acceptable. We have to do better. The justice system right now is failing us, and that includes the prosecutor's office. So I think it's time to bring in some fresh blood and bring a new approach and take a firmer stance on crime and really put victims first. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. The Snohomish County PUD Commissioner of District 3 is a nonpartisan 6-year term office. We have 2 candidates, Ken Maertens and incumbent Tanya Olson. I believe that Tanya will be on with us tonight. So Tanya, we will have you go ahead, turn on your video, start your video, unmute yourself, and we will have you begin the 3-minute opening. Tanya, can you unmute yourself and start your video? There you are.
Yes. Am I there now?
You are there now. Thank you.
And you started my 3 minutes while I was playing around here. Correct?
No, we'll start now.
All right, thank you.
We'll start now. Go ahead with your 3-minute opening, please.
All right, thank you. First of all, thank you for allowing me to join you this evening. My name is Tanya Olson, and I'm running for re-election for District 3, Snohomish County PUD Commission. I believe I'm the most qualified voice to voice your issues at the PUD. I worked for the PUD for 23 years. and I managed 11 departments, 1 division, and I retired as an assistant general manager. I know the business, and I know most particularly the ins and outs of how the PUD operates. In general, in the industry, I also have a good understanding of the pressures that they are facing. And for customers, I commit to reliable service at the lowest possible cost. And but by way of example, under my leadership in the last recent 5 years, your electric utility rates did not increase during a period of economic downturn and raging inflation. And I believe I was a strong leader in making that happen. Major issues for me as a commissioner is storm power outages and new technology, particularly of how the grid operates. Without that strong system, the utility will not be able to accommodate the needs for renewable energy, local renewable energy, carbon-free power, greater customer choice over how they want to interact with the utility, preparing for electrification of transportation, customer choice in shifting. The choice now is to shift from natural gas to electricity. Also, surprisingly, air conditioning is creating additional stress on our load. So all of this results in being more creative in terms of bringing
30 seconds.
Bringing load to our customers cost effectively. And I strongly believe that grid automation is the key to making that happen.
I do have a few questions here for you, Tanya. What impact do you see inflation having on our utility rates? What are your forecast projections on utility rate increases?
Inflation has made a major impact on the utilities, not our financial situation, but on the budget. And I believe I provide strong leadership in this area. And we are keeping it in check. But I do anticipate over the next few years, customers are going to see very nominal increases in their rates. And that's just the
30
reality
seconds.
of the cost of living.
Thank you, Tanya. The next question is, what is your plan for climate protections?
The utility is down the road, has adopted that as a mantra for years. And for climate protection, we need to get to 100% carbon free. We need to introduce technologies and advance the renewable technologies and energy storage capability. My plan is to stay focused on that.
30 seconds.
100% carbon free, and to do everything that we can to preserve our climate.
Thank you, Tanya. It's now time for your 1-minute closing. Those are the questions that I did have for you.
All right.
If you'd like to go ahead.
Well, in closing, I welcome the opportunity to continue to serve you, and I take very seriously that the service that the utility provides to you are core to your quality of life. That's electricity and that's water. And how the PUD performs in regard to those services affects you every day, every hour of every day.
30 seconds.
And so I recognize that, and I very I also know that it's your business, it's your company, it's your money. And I give that highest consideration in all my decisions.
Tanya, thank you very much for being here with us this evening.
Thank you very much.
We also want to highlight the statewide election and contest for the Secretary of State. This election is to fill a vacancy and complete the remainder of a 2-year term ending in 2024. The two candidates are Julie Anderson, nonpartisan, and Steve Hobbs, Democrat incumbent. Kindly refer to your 2022 voters pamphlet. Next is an update on Proposition number 1 for the city of Stanwood, defined as a sales and use tax for transportation improvements. Cathy Wooten will clarify this position. Cathy?
Thank you. I appreciate everyone for hosting, for participating, and for listening to tonight's presentation. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk about something that's important to me as just a normal citizen of Stanwood, and that is Proposition 1, which is the Transportation Benefit Fund Levy Renewal, TBF. Proposition 1 is something that citizens of Stanwood vote on. There's 3 things I'd like you to know about this levy renewal. 1, this is not a tax increase. Extending this current minimal 0.002% TBF sales tax, that's 2 cents on every $10, will maintain the city's current tax rate and continue to improve the safety of our city. So 1, this is not a tax increase. 2, safe streets and sidewalks remain a constant priority for the citizens of Stanwood. And there are efforts underway right now for sidewalk improvements on 72nd, 80th, 92nd, and 98th Avenues, linking in new developments and increasing safe to school routes. So 2, streets and sidewalks are a high priority. And number 3, everyone who shops in Stanwood contributes to this fund and contributes to the safety of our streets. By passing this extension, we'll be able to support our ongoing transportation projects. So 1, this is not a tax increase. 2, safe streets and sidewalks are a priority. And 3, everyone who shops in Stanwood helps to fund this levy renewal. Over the past 10 years, and I really like this, the city has been able to leverage the 2 million TBF dollars into almost $6 million by applying for and receiving state and federal grants. A lot of the time, you have to be able to match the funds to get those grants. So the other thing that is really important to me as a citizen who likes to walk my dog and wants to feel safe doing so is that this fund has added more than a dozen pavement preservation projects, that's improving our street surfaces, 6 sidewalks and ADA improvement projects, as well as street lighting upgrades. Right now, we have over 1.5 miles of sidewalks and 24 more ADA ramp projects in progress. If you want to learn more about this Transportation Benefit Fund Levy Renewal, also known as Proposition 1, you can go to the City of Stanwood website, and they have a link there. That's at www.stanwoodwa.org. So I'm representing the Stanwood citizens for better streets and sidewalks. We need your vote. Please consider voting yes and supporting this levy renewal. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Cathy, for your position on Proposition 1 and clarifying that for us. We will now move to the Island County Commissioner Office for District 3. Let me repeat that. We will now move to the Island County Commissioner Office for District 3. This is a 4-year term position, and the 2 candidates are Timothy Hazelo, Republican, and Janet St. Clair, Democrat incumbent. Timothy, you will make your 3-minute opening first, and Janet St. Clair, you may begin speaking immediately after Timothy's time has expired. Timothy, please begin. Timothy, can you kindly unmute And now start your video so we can see you.
There you go. Yeah, it just gave me the prompt, so thank you. Hi, once again, I want to, just like everybody else, I want to thank the AAUW and the forum for holding this. My name is Tim Hazelo, and my wife and I were brought here to Island County over 26 years ago. We were brought here by the Navy. We didn't necessarily plan on staying because, you know, the military moves you around from place to place and time to time, you usually get 3 or 4 years. But we fell in love with this place. We fell in love with the rural environment. We fell in love with the community, the people. We fell in love with the nature. We started a small farm of our own. Our kids grew up here. Our grandkids are here. And we don't plan on leaving Island County. We love Island County. But what we've found over the last 4 years or so, and maybe a little longer than that, but at least over the last 4 years, is that the things that we came to love about Island County, the reasons we stayed in Island County, the reasons you probably stayed in Island County or came to Island County, are leaving us. We're not leaving them, they're leaving us. Crime is higher than it's ever been. Homelessness and addiction is worse than it's ever been. The streets are plugged. The housing is so expensive. With the economy going crazy the way it is, and our current Board of County Commissioners raising taxes, things are just not going in the right direction. And so I'm here to tell you that I'm an honest guy. I'm a to-the-point guy. If you've been on Island County for more than 4 or 5 years, you probably have ran into me or know me. I did my 21 years in the Navy. I did my time as a business owner. I'm now contracting on the base. I love it. It's a great job. It pays well, but I need to give back to the community. I need to provide for my children and my grandchildren the rural environment, the safety, the security that was given to me when I came to Island County. And we currently don't see that. Our sheriffs are underfunded and undermanned. We're manned at 2008 levels, not even at 2008 levels, actually. And so I want to bring common sense back to the county commissioners, and I want to put priorities in place. And our priorities should be exactly what the government's supposed to do, and that's safety and security and infrastructure. Everything else is ancillary. If we can't do that, then the rest of this stuff doesn't really matter too much now, does it? So once again, my name's Tim Hazelo. I ask for your vote. I ask for your support. Let's keep it rural and vote Hazelo. Thank you.
Janet?
Good evening. My name is Janet St. Clair, and I'm your Island County Commissioner, and I want to thank AAUW for hosting us tonight. As a member of AAUW myself, I understand that we may differ on our backgrounds and political affiliations, but we know the importance of working together to strengthen our community because we know there's more we share than the things which divide us, and we're stronger because of it. Prior to being elected, I was a retired social worker for 30 years. I'm married with 11 children in our large blended family. 4 years ago, I asked you to trust me and I would work for you, the people of Island County. I promised to protect this beautiful place we call home and to honor the rural nature of our communities. I have taken action and worked to protect our forests, farms, and shorelines. I believe our community is stronger because of our critical health and human services programs. I'm passionate about access to healthcare and to the services that are critical to a community where all can thrive. These include our veteran support program, our housing, early learning and home visiting, supportive employment and disability services, and the youth programs such as the recent investments we made at the Stanwood-Camano Y to support the emotional well-being of our kids. I've worked to increase healthcare access in Island County, partnered with Whidbey Health to protect their women's health program and to maintain their stability. During COVID, I assured that we had equity and response on both islands, ensuring investments on Camano for testing and vaccine delivery. I believe we need better mental health services in Island County. We opened a mental health crisis stabilization center so folks in need don't have a choice between jail or involuntary hospitalization. I strongly support our sheriff and first responders. We've expanded outreach services to those with mental health and substance abuse challenges and added services in our jails to help folks transition successfully and reduce recidivism. I've actively worked to improve transportation, building a strong partnership with WashDOT and the city of Stanwood to improve and protect 532. I have strong relationships at the state and in DC, and I'm working to bring those resources to Island County to improve our water resources, prevent flooding, and improve infrastructure. Most of all, I show up. I hold monthly town halls. I'm on Camano 3 days a week to work for office hours and to meet with constituents. I've expanded the level of service on Camano to be equivalent to the hours of service on Whidbey. I believe strongly that our responsibility is to serve the people, and I've worked hard to keep those promises. I'm Janet St. Clair, your county commissioner, and I'm deeply honored to ask for your vote for another 4 years.
Okay, thank you both. Now for the questions. The first one is for you, Timothy. Given that 2 Island County Commissioners are already on Whidbey Island, how will you ensure that the issues important to Camano Island residents get fair attention?
That's a great question. So I have been spending tons and tons of time on Camano. I've got plenty of friends on Camano. I've campaigned on Camano. I go to the restaurants on Camano. I go to Freedom Park on Camano. And I plan on spending as much, if not more time than our current commissioner does working on Camano. The reality is here, Camano's been let down. You can talk to anybody on Camano Island and they'll tell you, it's a joke, right? They say, hey, as soon as you see a sheriff,
30 seconds.
You want, because there's not another one going to be seen. The grass on the side of the roads is tall and not cut in a lot of places. And now we're talking about, our Board of County Commissioners are talking about blocking roads off during winter months to prevent accidents. Shouldn't that be the residents' choice of whether or not they can get to or go from their homes on Camano Island? So Camano Island has its problems, not as much as maybe the Whidbey Island does, but the problems that face Camano Island are very important, and I will handle them.
Thank you. Janet, this question is for you. Could you tell us about a bill or program that you are most proud of and its impact on your constituency, particularly Camano Islanders?
I think the work I'm very proud of on Camano Island and across the county is my work to build partnerships and bring resources. In a meeting today, it was noted that there is some new money coming to the county through environmental health. And I have been a passionate advocate that as this money comes, it comes to our rural counties. And apparently Island County got a seat at the table on how this money is going to be spent, in part because I have been a powerful advocate for bringing resources to our rural counties and making sure as we see the needs
30 seconds.
For water, for stormwater runoff, for flooding, that we are assuring that our county gets its fair share of those resources and that we can begin to address those problems. So my relationships at the state and federal level have assured that we have a stronger voice in the decisions that get made around core infrastructure for our county.
Thank you. Timothy, what are your priorities and strategies to address and manage the growth on Camano Island?
Well, I've talked to a lot of the people on Camano Island, and they're really concerned about overgrowth of Camano Island. You know, a lot of people on Camano Island that I've talked to don't mind having a little bit higher priced housing, and because they love where they live. They love the Camano Land Trust that goes up and buys some rural properties, as do I, to allow that rural lifestyle. So when it comes to cost of living on Camano Island, I think we can help them out by maybe 0.2% or 0.2% of sales tax that the Board of County Commissioners instituted on us over the last few years without the permission of the people. I do believe that will encourage more restaurant patronage, that will encourage more business, and that will help the people of Camano Island save some money. And it's really up to them whether or not they vote on these levies and things that really cost them on their property tax. But I think Camano Island residents love where they live.
Thank you. Janet, what are your priorities and strategies to address and manage the growth on Camano Island?
So we are taking action on issues to manage growth that include how we address our zoning areas. Today, we had a long conversation about rural service areas to be sure that we can have growth, but in a sustainable fashion that doesn't negate our rural character, that doesn't create urban sprawl. So managing our code to encourage sustainable growth is one strategy. I've worked really hard for 4 years on our forest protections. I've got
30
a strong
seconds.
relationship at DNR in order to update our code to protect our forests. And of course, As my opponent mentioned, the work we've done with the Whidbey-Camano Land Trust to protect our rural nature, but still be able to add housing options. We put over $9 million into affordable housing options that's going to be coming to both islands in both habitat type land trust models, as well as new housing infill in our in our urban areas.
Thank you. It's time now for your 1-minute closing statement. Timothy, you'll be first, followed by Janet.
Great, thank you. So that was quite a list of things that Janet read off. Good job, Janet. The question you have to ask yourselves, though, Whidbey Island and Camano Island, are you better off today than you were yesterday? Are things cheaper today than they were yesterday? Are there less homeless people and less addicts than there were yesterday? And if the answer is no, then we need to change. So you can look at my opponent's website and look at her voters pamphlet. If you want government paid broadband internet, she's your person. If you want urbanization, she's your person. If you want property rights, if you want safety, if you want infrastructure, if you want safe schools, then I'm your man. Keep it rural, vote Tim Hazelo, and let's keep our community the community we love. Thank you.
Both very much. The Island County Sheriff Office is a
Anne, would you
four-year
like me
term.
to do my closing statement?
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you, Anne.
Janet. My goodness, I jumped ahead there. First
That's
time.
okay.
All righty. Janet, you may do your 1-minute closing statement.
Okay, thank you for being here tonight. To all of you, you've listened to the vision and the experience of both candidates, and soon you'll have the chance to vote, and your vote will be counted because every voice and every vote matters. I've shared my work, my results, and promised what work I'll continue to do for you. My core focus has not been in participating in divisive or partisan rhetoric, but the key issues we need to protect and strengthen on our community. And yes, these include broadband, healthcare, mental health, housing stability, climate resiliency, as well as the infrastructure improvements that we
30 seconds.
I've built relationships at the state and federal level, always with a focus on our rural needs. I've proven leadership, accessibility, and results. I'm deeply involved in our community, and I understand what an amazing and strong community we are. We need leadership that unites us, works for the people, and cares about community. I ask for your vote and your partnership in building a strong and resilient Island County as we work together for another 4 years. I'm Janet St. Clair, and I ask for your vote. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you both very much. Janet St. Clair and Timothy Hazelo. Have a good evening to you both. The Island County Sheriff Office is a 4-year term with 2 candidates, namely Lane Campbell and Rick Felici, incumbent. Both candidates identify as Republicans. Lane Campbell, you will make your 3-minute opening first, and Rick Felici, you may begin speaking immediately after Lane's time has expired. Lane, please begin. Lane, if you can kindly unmute yourself and start your video. And you'd have to unmute yourself.
There you go.
There you go.
I would like to thank the AAUW for hosting this event. My name is Lane Campbell, and I'm running to be your next Island County Sheriff. I bring 40 years of experience for multiple agencies, for which I've seen and experienced what works and doesn't work. I'm committed to maintaining the quality of life in Island County and ensuring that our beautiful community is safe for our residents and visitors alike. I've served several years as guild president, at which time I handled union employee negotiations, disciplinary actions, legal issues, and communication with the commissioners and other county officials. I have thousands of hours of specialized training, all of which I used on a daily basis to address the vast and ever-changing issues faced by our deputies and our community. These include, but are not limited to, mental health, substance abuse, and homelessness, all 3 of which are at the forefront of our society and usually run concurrent with each other. I'm not only going to utilize current county programs, but I also align with new ones that will cover 24/7 term, help and assist, not the current 9-to-5 solution we have now. Most of our mental health issues do not have banking hours. We can no longer put a Band-Aid on a gaping and uncontrolled wound and expect it to heal. I am committed to addressing public safety head-on, from taking repeat and violent offenders off our streets to tackling the dangerous drugs that have now infiltrated our community. We must work together now to keep our streets safe for our future generations to come. I will be attending command and leadership classes, which are required at the level of supervision under my administration. I will be committed to filling all 43 deputy positions that we've been funded for many years and yet still have not filled. I will have regular communication with the public and employees and engage in programs that promote and embrace diversity, equity within the workplace. Bad behavior will no longer be tolerated or promoted within this agency. My command staff will be qualified to do their assigned duties. Myself and my second command will be working hand in hand with the deputies.
30 seconds.
So we can mentor and never forget where we came from, while maintaining a firm grip on our current issues that affect all of us. A sheriff cannot sit in an office for over 20 years and be proficient at fulfilling their duties and commitments to the public as an elected official or the employees they oversee. I will bring long-term and positive changes to the Island County Sheriff's Office, where together we will work to meet the needs of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick.
Good evening. I'd like to thank each of you for joining us tonight, and a special thanks to the American Association of University Women and the Stanwood-Camano News for setting up this forum tonight. I'm Rick Felici, and I am your current Island County Sheriff. My wife Monica and I have been married for 29 years, and we have 2 daughters and 2 beautiful grandchildren. I've been working in the criminal justice system since 1988. I began my career as a U.S. Navy security policeman while on active duty stationed at Whidbey Island, NAS Whidbey Island. At the Sheriff's Office, I've served as a patrol deputy, a patrol sergeant, detective sergeant, and chief criminal deputy, and I've been your sheriff for almost 4 years now, and I would be honored to serve this community for another term. I'm a graduate of the Northwest Command College, the International Association of Chiefs of Police Legacy Leadership Program, the FBI LEADA Executive Level Management Program, and I have executive level certification in leadership from the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission. I'm endorsed by both of the current police chiefs in Island County, as well as 21 of Washington's current sheriffs and several retired law enforcement leaders. As your sheriff, I have and will continue to make decisions based on the rule of law, common sense, and the best interest of the community. Public trust is critical to an effective law enforcement agency. To that end, I have established a core values of service, professionalism, and accountability. Our staff have embraced those terms, and I believe it has resulted in a significant improvement in public trust, as well as a stronger culture within our team. We've made significant investments in leadership, recognition, and internal culture. We've added de-escalation and patrol tactics training, additional less lethal equipment, and the related training. We adopted the Below 100 safety protocol and added post-collision review process, which resulted in significant reduction in patrol car collisions, increasing deputy safety and public safety while reducing cost and civil liability. We will continue to make these necessary changes our community demands while doing everything in our power to hold criminals accountable for their crimes. Thank you.
Thank you. The first question is twofold and will be directed to both of you. The population of Camano Island continues to grow. How are you addressing the need for increased police presence? And what are your plans on how to address the rapidly rising property crimes on the island? Lane Campbell, you're first.
And the first part of that question one more time, please.
The population of Camano Island continues to grow. In light of that, how are you addressing the need for increased police presence? And what are your plans to address the rising property crimes on the island?
Well, certainly this boils down to getting the proper staffing. So we've had 43 positions allocated to the sheriff's office for years, and we have yet to meet those goals. We definitely need to meet and exceed those goals. Ultimately, with the size of the population that we have now, we should be somewhere around 50 to 53 deputies. Most certainly, just like other precincts, Camano Island
30 seconds.
needs to have many more deputies assigned over there. Once we get those new members assigned over there and hired, that's when we can put out specialty units and address these issues as they arise, including property crime. So we can go out there and be aggressive and stop these crimes before they even occur, or even catch the individuals while they're doing the crime. With our low staffing right now, it's going to be very difficult to make up.
Stop.
Rick, it's your turn. Do you want me to
Thank you.
repeat the question?
Thank you. I think I've got it.
Okay.
This is a topic where my opponent and I don't differ a whole lot. There certainly is a need for additional staffing in the Island County Sheriff's Office, and we do have vacancies. We're also competing in a market for staffing where everybody in law enforcement is hiring top quality people, and there aren't that many people in the pool. But to address it, I think, number one, we do have to fill our vacant positions, and we have to always keep considering growth when we ask for additional positions. And
30 seconds.
Assignments, precinct to precinct, I would use a matrix of both population and crime statistics and calls for service to assign people, where they're the most valuable and where they're the most needed. Camano is actually a little bit different. Camano has some challenges that is able to address with help from other agencies. Stanwood being as far away from for backup positions and that sort of thing.
Stop.
Thank you. The second question for both of you. What will be your strategies, or what are your strategies and practices for addressing the opioid and fentanyl crisis in our community? Lane, you're first.
I've always said from day one that we are going to put together a canine program to just do that. The Blake decision definitely caused an issue statewide about arresting people and getting a conviction. However, my stance is that we need to get the drugs off the streets and to keep our children and community members safe. And I believe that a canine unit is a huge attribute to that. You can't look at a canine unit as costing a ton of money. We've done a lot of research in
30 seconds.
And the canine units are in fact being paid for by the public. And frankly, what kind of a price do you put on our children, honestly? And what kind of a price do you put on our community? So my philosophy is that we are going to get the drugs off our streets, even if we can't make an arrest or convict somebody for possessing the drugs. Thank you.
Rick?
And would you repeat the question real quick, please?
What are your strategies and practices for addressing the opioid and fentanyl crisis in our community?
So I've always believed that a combination of education, enforcement, and treatment is the key to dealing with our drug issues. We can't arrest our way out of this problem. We have to engage people in our schools and educate people about the dangers of drugs, and it's a cultural problem. So we have to sort of change the culture, right? Enforcement is absolutely key. One of the opportunities we have, the best opportunities we have to intervene with people who are addicted is when they've been in
30
jail
seconds.
for a while, and they have, we have a window of opportunity when they're relatively clean and sober to take advantage of treatment opportunities. We have added opioid outreach workers, mental health outreach workers. We've added MAT treatment, medicated assisted treatment in our jails. But we have to continue to build those resources. Staffing is a huge issue, and we have been way behind the power curve in proactive enforcement because of those staffing issues. So as we're able to address those things, we'll grow.
Thank you. And there's one last question. What strategies will you oversee to ensure public safety and curb the use of guns in our area? Lane Campbell?
Also, I believe that entails a communication effort between the sheriff, the prosecutor, and our judges. We have to ensure, and we've had a significant problem where we have felons in possessions of firearms that are not being charged. And those type of issues need to be taken head on. Meetings need to be had, so we're all on the same sheet of paper. Gun violence has recently hit Island County. We had a 15-year-old murdered in Oak Harbor in the past couple of
30
weeks.
seconds.
So I will be, as the next sheriff, contacting our prosecutor, our judges, and making sure that we're all on the same sheet of paper, and that we can get the bad people that are in possession of these firearms in custody and out of our hair, and keeping our community safe. The bottom line is, we are all about public safety. We are all about putting those violent offenders in jail and away from our children.
Thank you. Rick?
I think there has to be a critical balance between lawful use of firearms and citizens' rights to possess and use firearms, with a distinction between those who are committing crimes with them and people who shouldn't have them. So I agree with Lane in that enforcement in this thing has to be, in this particular topic, has to be as aggressive as we possibly can. I don't necessarily blame the judges or the prosecutor's office for those things. Each case has its individual merits or lack thereof. But proactive enforcement, and again, education is a key in this, as well. We have opportunities to provide education in our schools to our kids about gun safety and that sort of thing. But it's a topic that we have to talk about. We can't just be polarized on the topic and say you're either pro-gun or anti-gun. We have to have a conversation about how do we keep guns away from people who shouldn't have them, and how do we educate our kids to deal with guns if they happen to cross them in their.
It's now time for your 1-minute closing statement. Lane Campbell, you're first, followed by Rick Felici.
Thank you again for inviting me to this forum. The commitment I've made over 40 years ago to protect, honor, and serve has never wavered. Public safety is on everyone's mind. It must be addressed on all levels of concern to ensure safety for our families, businesses, and those who visit our beautiful area. We must think outside the box for solutions, staffing, and coverage. Tools like the K-9 program and other engagements with drug addiction, mental health
30 seconds.
specialists, recovery navigators, prosecutors, judges, and county commissioners. So we are all on the same page for those we serve. In closing, it's time to exchange excuses for a list of achievements we can all be proud of. For more information or to email me, visit lanecampbellforsheriff.com. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Rick.
Once again, thanks to all of you and our sponsors for this event this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, today more than ever, the Island County Sheriff's Office needs a steady hand at the wheel. We can't afford to confuse louder with leader. There's no room for polarization, bias, or extremism, and I believe I have the personality, perspective, and leadership skills to lead this amazing team to the next level. I will continue to seek ways to improve our level of service to exceed community expectations, to maintain your trust, and provide the safest community our resources will allow. I would sincerely appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve Island County as your sheriff, and I'm here tonight to humbly ask for your support and your vote. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much.
Thank you so much.
The Island County Clerk Office is a 4-year term, and the 2 candidates are Deirdre Butler, no political party designated, and Debra Van Pelt, Democrat incumbent. Deirdre Butler, you will make your 3-minute opening first, and Debra Van Pelt, you may begin speaking immediately after Deirdre's time has expired. Deirdre, please begin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deirdre Butler, and I am running for the Island County Clerk's Office. I'd like to take a quick moment first to thank you for having me here, both the Stanwood-Camano News and the AAUW. And then I'd like to take a quick moment to talk a little bit about myself and why I'm running for office. I have lived in Island County now for over 15 years and have worked within the county offices, worked within the county most of that time. I've worked in the environmental health department. I also worked at the Island County Clerk's office, and I am currently at the Island County Auditors. I served in the clerk's office from 2014 until 2021. I started out as the deputy clerk and then moved my way up and served the last few years as the chief deputy. This gave me the opportunity to learn pretty much every aspect of running the clerk's office and know what is needed to do so. Right now, I am currently at the Island County Auditor's office in the accounts payable, and I'm the accounts payable deputy. And I'm right now responsible for accurately recording and processing all of the Island County bills and the junior taxing district payments. What I'm offering my community is a chance for change. A change within the clerk's office. I would like to create a better working relationship between the clerk's office and the other county departments. I would also like to work on improving employee retention and morale. My community is actually one of the most important things to me. And I want to make sure when somebody comes to that office that they are treated with respect and understanding. And just because we've done the same thing over and over, year after year, does not mean that there are not better options out there for us. And I'm willing to look for those options. Again, I thank you for the time to listen. And I know that this is a very limited time. And if anybody would have any questions, please reach
30
out to me.
seconds.
And I'd be happy to answer anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Deirdre. Debra, if you could kindly turn on your video.
There it is.
Thank you. You may begin your 3-minute opening.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Debra Van Pelt, and I am your current Island County Superior Court Clerk. I live in Oak Harbor with my husband, who is retired military. We have 5 children and 10 grandchildren. I have been in office since 2010. I have implemented many services to help the Island County citizens along in their equal access to justice. We have placed card holders at our front counter so that you can make your payments through electronic or through credit cards. We put kiosks in the lobby so that you can view all of our documents online. We created an in-house e-filing system so that you can e-file your documents so people don't have to come to the clerk's office to make their filings. We work with the state archives and download all of our documents to the state archives so that you have access to your documents online electronically. I have been endorsed by the Democratic Party. I have been endorsed by our retired judges, Eleanor Hancock and Vicki I. Churchill. I've been endorsed by our retired clerk, Sharon Franzen, and by numerous of the local attorneys. Once again, my name is Debra Van Pelt. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for you to elect me for 4 more years. Thank you.
Thank you, Debra. The first question is for you, Debra. What have been the top 2 issues or concerns facing your office? What have you done, and how have you mobilized resources to address these concerns?
First of all is staffing issues. That has been a concern in our office. We lost some people to COVID. We lose a lot of our people to higher paying jobs. We are trying to maintain our level of staffing, and we have worked with HR, who is looking at the wages that our staff currently earns. The other thing is service at the front counter. We have implemented a person that is dedicated to the front counter
30
that
seconds.
is to answer your questions and point you in the direction that you need to go.
Okay, thank you. Deirdre, what do you see as the top 2 priorities facing the county clerk office, and what will you do to address them?
One of the first major issues is, Deb is correct, it is employee retention. But in the past 10 years, after doing a public records request, there's been 49 people that have left that office in 10 years. And yes, I do understand that there could be for multiple reasons, but 49 people in an 8-person office, there's an issue there that needs to be addressed. One is working with employees, building up morale.
30 seconds.
There's also training that can be done. There are changes that can be made in that office to keep people there so that we don't lose the knowledge when they leave. And that's one of the one things that we need to do. The other is working with other departments, building relationships within those departments. It makes a difference when you can work with peers and create and get help or options and be able to make changes. Thank you.
It's time now for your 1-minute closing statement. Deirdre Butler, you're first, followed by Debra Van Pelt. Go ahead, Deirdre.
I am running for clerk, and I am running for a position that has been unopposed for 10 years. What I'm offering for my community is change. And I want to at least give my community a choice that they have not had in those 10 years. And I will do everything in my power to create a better working environment.
30 seconds.
For not only the people, the employees, but a better working environment within the different departments. Thank you. Please consider voting for me. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to give you a choice.
Debra?
Island County deserves a clerk with experience and proven leadership that works well with the staff and can multitask and works great under pressure and can make the necessary changes in our office to get the job done. I am asking for your vote. I am asking for you to vote for me, Debra Van Pelt, for Island County Clerk.
Thank you both very much. The Island County Assessor is a 4-year term, and this office has 2 candidates. Theodore Kubisiak has no party affiliation, and Kelly Mauck is the Republican candidate. Theodore, you will make your 3-minute opening first, and Kelly Mauck, you will begin speaking immediately after Theodore's time has expired. Theodore, please begin. Theodore, could you kindly start your video and unmute? Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. I would like to say thank you to the Stanwood-Camano News and thank you to the American Association of University Women for this opportunity. My name is Theodore Kubisiak. People that know me call me Teacher Kubisiak. I'm running for Island County Assessor. I'm a 22-year Navy veteran. My wife, Lisa, and I have 5 beautiful daughters. We have been here on Whidbey Island since 1994 in some capacity or the other, barring some deployments that has taken me across the world. I'm running for Island County Assessor to offer the Island County residents some stability in the assessor's office. As a longtime resident of Island County and the only candidate for office with experience having served in the assessor's office as a residential appraiser, completing the International Association of Assessors Offices Washington State required 101 course and accumulating almost 1,000 hours of residential appraiser training here in Island County before deciding to run for office, understanding that the leadership and experience needed for this office is paramount. I have a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Washington. I've earned my master's degree in organizational leadership from Brandman University, which I feel will only help me continue the leadership and capability in the assessor's office. I'd like to point out that I have bipartisan support from the former Democratic assessor, Dave Maertens, and the current Republican assessor, Bernie Upchurch, because they understand the importance of having a bipartisan assessor. No matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, if you come into my office, I want you to know that I'm just going to follow the rules and what the RCW say, the WACs, and the guidance from the Department of Revenue. Please vote for me, TJ Kubisiak. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Good. Thank you to the AAUW and the Stanwood-Camano News for holding this forum, and to everyone who's joining us. My name's Kelly Mauck. I'm running for Island County Assessor. I have lived and or worked in Island County for 30 years. My family currently resides on Camano Island, where my wife works as a firefighter and a paramedic. I'm a United States Navy veteran. I served as a law enforcement officer in Island County for 20 years. I've lived and worked on both islands, and I understand what makes Island County so unique and special. In 2007, I was appointed by Sheriff Brown as his administrative undersheriff. As such, I was responsible for leading every aspect of that office, to include leading its 69 employees and a multi-million-dollar budget. My experience and training as an administrator in the sheriff's office give me the knowledge and experience to effectively lead the assessor's office. The assessor's office is responsible for determining the true and fair market value of all property within Island County. The duties of the elected assessor, however, extend far beyond the line level task of physically appraising properties. Those duties include hiring, firing, human resources, risk management, budgeting, policy, procedure development, community outreach, and so much more. I'm the only candidate that possesses this relevant experience, and having done it successfully for 9 years in Island County government. After I retired from law enforcement, I received training and have worked as a licensed home inspector and a general contractor. This experience gives me the requisite knowledge in the repair and remodeling of buildings and land improvements, a requirement of the Department of Revenue for an accredited appraiser. For the past 3.5 years, I've worked as a licensed real estate broker. My training and experience as a real estate broker specifically includes knowledge of how to accurately value properties using the exact same methods used by the assessor. I have over 7,000 hours of full-time experience as a real estate broker involved in real estate transactions. Again, this is another requirement of the Department of Revenue to become an accredited appraiser. There's been significant turnover, both in the leadership and the staff of the assessor's office over the past few years. I'm running to provide strong, steady, and consistent leadership. I'll be dedicated to providing fair and equitable property assessments, office transparency, staff support, and community outreach and education. I have the knowledge, the skill, the passion, and the plans to accomplish this. I'm the candidate that has the right management and technical experience to successfully lead this office. The office is nonpartisan at its core. I'll serve all citizens fairly, impartially, and I'll do my part to keep Island County an amazing place to live and work. Thank you.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. The first one, your website states that the goal of your office is to appraise all property fairly and equitably. What strategic priorities will you employ to ensure that this goal is met? Deirdre, you're first.
Yeah, thank you, Ann. So having the experience of working in the assessor's office, I realized that while our training is adequate and we do a great job with our assessors, what we're lacking is what I would call an appraiser qualification system. And that's what I'm going to bring to the office. We need standardization and an understanding that when we hire new appraisers, it's paramount that we track the training, we understand who's giving that training, And that
30
if there's
seconds.
pitfalls along the way, that we can go back and find out who trained that person. And if we need to train and retrain, that is going to provide transparency and also fair and equitable prices across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
Fairness and equity in property evaluations and appraisal really boils down to one thing, and that's uniformity in your property appraisal. The way you get uniformity is that you have your appraisers in the office that are looking through the same lens when they are considering the most subjective areas of a property appraisal. Generally, that's class and condition. The other issue is that you have to consider all the unique attributes of your property, and I don't think they're necessarily adequately evaluated right now.
30 seconds.
The third issue is absolute training. And then the fourth issue is the quality of the data that you're using when you're using a mass appraisal system. You have to have quality data. You have to have quality cost tables. You have to have that if you're going to have fair and equitable property assessments.
Okay, thank you. The next question is for both of you. How can you help low-income seniors stay in their homes in the face of rising home values? Deirdre, you're first.
Yeah, thank you so much. And this is something that's paramount to me. I will tell you right now that currently Island County senior exemptions are set at $40,000 of annual income to qualify for a senior exemption. In comparison, Snohomish County, their threshold is $60,000 annual income to qualify. As a member of the Washington State Association of County Assessors, I plan to sit on the legislation committee. I plan to lobby our state legislatures and equalize the income requirements across the similar impacted economic areas. This effort would hopefully equalize the threshold of Island County with that of neighboring Snohomish County, thus lowering the tax burden on our seniors who are increasingly being taxed out of their homes. It is insane to me that the people in Camano Island specifically they're a stone's throw away from Snohomish County, yet there's a 20,000 difference. I'm going to fight to see if we can't fix that. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
I'd like to really parrot a lot of what my opponent said, and he's really spot on with the senior exemptions and the threshold limits. It's actually really similar to the conforming loan limits between Island County and Snohomish County, and how that punishes our citizens over here and their inability to get a conforming loan. It's the same as he explained in the exemptions with the $60,000 versus the $40,000. Another critical part of this is public education and outreach. We have to get to our seniors, and we have to get to those people that do interact with our seniors, and we have to educate them so we can make sure that first and foremost, everybody that is qualified for those exemptions is taking advantage of those. The other part of the exemption program is to make sure that there aren't people that should not be getting exemptions that are receiving exemptions, and thereby distributing the tax burden onto other people that shouldn't have that placed upon them. So I'm committed to doing this in Island County.
Okay. It's time now for your 1-minute closing statement. Deirdre, you're first, followed by Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you, Kelly, saying that you understand how important it is to have that kind of experience, having worked in the assessor's office that I have, to be your next assessor. I understand the exemptions program. I understand what it means to go out and mass appraise. I know what it means to cold knock on people's doors at 9 o'clock in the morning and have that face of, oh my God, you're here to raise our taxes. And that's not the case. And so there's 3 things that I'd like to highlight. That I'm going to do a newsletter every quarter
30 seconds.
to highlight what we're doing in the assessor's office. That way that you know where we're at. We need a farm and ag coalition of our farmers on Island County because of the vast amount of agriculture that we have. I want to have a coalition with them to help us understand the commodities, how to understand the lease programs that we have to make sure that we're congruent with other counties across Washington State. And I'm the only candidate that has the experience and the qualifications in the assessor's office to run that office. Please vote for Theodore Kubisiak come November 8th. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Kelly?
30 seconds. First of all, I completely disagree with my opponent's contention that he is the only candidate that has the experience. In fact, I would ask you to go research more about me, you will find out that I by far have the most experience in this race. In closing, I want to encourage everybody out there to go vote. I'm opening. I mentioned in my opening that I'm a candidate with the right management and technical experience to lead the office. Island County is my home. It's beautiful, and I want to keep it an affordable place to live. I will serve all constituents fairly and impartially. I have strong bipartisan support. I'm endorsed by Island County Commissioner Jill Johnson, Island County Commissioner Melanie Bacon, former Sheriff Mark Brown, Mike Hawley, Island County Treasurer Wanda Groen, and many more. Visit my website at mockforassessor.com to learn more about me. I ask for your vote, and thank you.
Thank you both very much for being with us here this evening. Next is the Island County Treasurer. Tony Lamb is the Democrat candidate, and Richard MacQuarrie is the Republican candidate. The treasurer's term is 4 years in office. Tony, you will make your 3-minute opening first, and Richard, you may begin speaking immediately after Tony's time has expired. Tony, please begin.
Hi, my name is Tony Lamb. Can you see me?
Tony, we can't see you. Can you start your video?
I'm trying now.
It should be in the same area where you unmuted yourself.
Oh. Goodness.
Have you found it?
Finding out.
It should be 3 dots in the upper right corner or the lower corner. Again, where you unmuted yourself, there'd be a prompt once you hit the 3 dots that says start video.
Okay. Sorry about this.
Why don't you go ahead, Tony, and start your 3-minute opening, and we'll see if you can come on and we can see you.
Okay, sorry about that. My name is Tony Lamb. I'm running for the Island County Treasurer's Office. I was born in Vietnam, and I immigrated to the U.S. in 2000 and actually 1984, 80, sorry. And I've been living in Honolulu, Hawaii for the last 30 years. I graduated from the University of Hawaii with a bachelor's degree in accounting. After that, I've worked for a number of businesses as an accountant. I moved in 2008 to the Island County, and during that time when I started here, I worked as an accountant for 6 years in the Island County Treasurer's Office. After Wanda Groen became the treasurer, she asked me to be the chief deputy for the treasurer's office, and I agreed. And I've been a chief deputy for the last 8 years. I've gained a lot of knowledge from working with Wanda, and I've been working with the Island County Treasurer's office and staff, and helping with their guidance and assisting them in all their work. I've worked with the taxing districts in the county, helping with the banking needs, review their cash balance, ensuring that they have the funds to pay their vendors as well as their staff. I manage the Island County Investment School, and also I do all the money that goes to the county's many bank accounts. I've overseen the county's auto pay program, which started by Wanda, and it has been started a few years back, I think 4 or 5 years. And it has been going quite well, mainly during the COVID pandemic. And yep, that's about it. If any questions or anything, please do visit my website at www.tonylandfortreasure.com, and I'll provide more information about myself and my contact information. Thank you. And I'll work on the video now.
Richard, it's your turn for your 3-minute opening.
All right. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Well, I want to thank the American Association of University Women and the Stanwood-Camano News for putting this on. It's such an honor to be here with you, and I'm glad that we're able to, have this forum in order to speak about this election. If I'm elected as your treasurer, I'm not going to be a silent treasurer. I will inform the public of what we invest in and why it is we are making those investments. It's the treasurer's responsibility to ensure that the public is aware of how we're spending our money and why. And I am going to be constantly outreaching to the public to inform them of this information. I've also committed to being on Camano Island at least one workday a week. For too long, Camano Island has had to drive all the way to Coupeville in order to see their elected officials. We have a beautiful annex here on Camano Island, and I think it needs to be utilized by our elected officials. And I promise, one workday a week, at the very least, I will be on Camano so the people of Camano can drive to see me. I have worked in government, and I have worked for Fortune 500 companies. I have never seen a large organization where I have not found waste. I will work tirelessly to identify and eliminate waste in Island County government. And I'm going to make sure that I educate and inform my staff to do the same. I will also focus on building and adding groups to our investment pool. We currently have 60 entities, and if we grow this pool, we can bring in more money in our investments, giving us a higher rate of return. The higher rate of return we bring into Island County, the less we have to raise taxes because we can get this money through our investments. I will work with the auditor and the commissioners as the chair of the Finance Committee to make the best investment possible for Island County. I will also be a compassionate forecloser. One of the things the county can do is foreclose on people if they're not making their payments. I personally believe that government should not be taking people's personal property. So I will work with anyone who is having trouble, and I will be responsive and make sure that they are informed of what's happening, why, and exactly what they can do to fix it. And I'm going to be a person that's going to walk them through it and hopefully get them on the right side of Island County government. I've been proud to be endorsed by Oak Harbor City Council member Shane Hoffmeyer, Oak Harbor City Councilman Brian Stuckey.
30 seconds.
Endorsed by the Stanwood City Councilwoman Danny Gommond and Andrina Brugman. As your next treasurer, I'm going to work tirelessly to make sure we're bringing in the highest rate of return for you. I'd appreciate your vote, and I look forward to seeing you guys on November 8th. Thank you.
And now for questions. One of the responsibilities of the county treasurer, as mentioned, is investing funds for various entities. Given the current volatility of interest rates and the stock market, how would you approach the investment of these funds? Tony, you're first, and then Richard.
We are not allowed to invest in stock. We invest in bonds, and that's safe for the county, public money there. We do not, main thing we have to do is safekeep this money that we have for the public, and that's what we do. We do not invest in anything that would cause a loss and fund for the taxing district. All our taxing district has been part of the investment pool here. And
30 seconds.
Wanda Grown has started the external investment pool, and during the pandemic when the other LGIP has been low, the investment pool has been gaining a lot of interest during that time, and they benefit from that. And thank you for the question.
Richard, the same question to you. Given the current volatility, how would you approach the investments of these funds?
Well, by working with the staff, we're going to be constantly looking for what investments make sense. And you're right, it is volatile, and people are concerned about how their money's invested. And one way to lessen the people's concerns is by explaining what we can and cannot do. So as your treasurer, I'm going to be a vocal advocate for the people who've elected me. I'm going to constantly be informing you of exactly where we're investing our funds, exactly why we're investing them, and the best way to invest properly in a way that gets you the highest rate of return is to work with people and to work with the auditor and the commissioners to find the best investments and focus on those to get us the highest possible rate of return here in Island County. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. It's now time for your 1-minute closing. Tony, you'll go first.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to tonight's forum. I hope I'm able to properly introduce myself to those watching the forum. If not, please visit my website at www.tonylanfordtreasure.com. I'm asking that you vote for me the next month in the election. Before we end, I want to say that our staff at the Treasurer's Office has been working tirelessly in the last 2 years. There is no waste of time in our staff there. And the treasurer has been a working treasurer. She's been putting a lot of time, and so have I.
30 seconds.
Thanks. There is actually no legally in that office. I've been working long hours, and so has my staff. And everything that we do is on our website. All the investment information, all the duties and such is on the website, and everything is pretty much transparent. Foreclosure, we do not foreclosure any property unless we have to get the state law. We abide by that. We try endlessly to make sure that there is no foreclosure. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I again want to thank the American Association of University Women. As your next treasurer, what I want to bring is transparency, efficiency, and responsiveness to the office. And I am asking for your vote. If you want to see my website, it is Richard for Treasurer, that's FOR.com, where you can see what my priorities are as your next treasurer. And it's not enough for our treasurer to have everything on the website. I believe that it is our elected officials' job to reach out to the public and let them know what's going on actively, as opposed to it's on our website, please read it, and good luck navigating it. It is important for the treasurer to make it easy for the people of Island County to know why we're spending our money, why we're investing the way we do. And as your next treasurer, I promise I am going to be very informative and constantly communicate with the people of Island County. Thank you so much.
Thank you both for being with us this evening. The term for the Island County Auditor position is 4 years. The two candidates for this office are Sheilah Crider, Republican incumbent, and Barbara Fuller, Democrat. Sheilah, you will make your 3-minute opening first, and Barbara Fuller, you may begin speaking immediately after Sheilah's time has expired. We'll see if Sheilah's coming on. Barbara, could you kindly unmute yourself and start your video so we can see you?
Is it just me?
I believe it's just you. I'm waiting a couple of more minutes to see if Sheilah has arrived.
All right, then I will go.
So you go ahead with your 1-minute opening, and then I have a couple of questions. Thanks.
I want to thank the American Association of University Women and the Stanwood-Camano News for the invitation to join this candidate and issue forum. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself to the community. Equally, I thank community members for taking the time to attend this forum. The most important thing I will say to all community members is make sure you vote. It's an essential right in our democracy. Please exercise it. My name is Barbara Fuller, and I am running for Island County Auditor. I ask for your vote, and I hope that I can earn that privilege. Since youth, I have wanted to serve and improve my community. My first career was law enforcement. At 21, I became a police officer. Unfortunately, that ended after a career-ending injury. My next and current career landed me in risk management. This has taken many forms as I have experienced in nonprofits, private industry, and government. However, the common denominator is that even in risk management, I have focused on bettering communities. You may ask, why auditor? It is the one position within Island County that I am ideally suited. I've spent more than 20 years developing and improving processes as part of continuous improvement. Yes, the auditor's office has many duties, including financial services, election and voter registration, recording, licensing, payroll, and accounts payable. However, I view the auditor's role as oversight for the office. The auditor must ensure that the staff have the essential tools to be as effective as possible. The auditor must ensure that there are effective processes in place. The auditor must ensure that staff have much needed continuous professional development. And most importantly, the auditor must continuously evaluate all of that to ensure that the integrity of the systems put in place are effective. The auditor's office faces many challenges. Questions regarding election integrity linger in all jurisdictions. Audit findings point out deficiencies in processes and training. Island County needs a strong leader as auditor that can move the office forward, make it a model, protect the people of Island County. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheilah.
Thank you to the AAUW and the Stanwood-Camano News for this opportunity. For the past 14 plus years, I have served Island County and as citizens thereof in a nonpartisan, unbiased manner, ensuring that our doors are open to all. Critical in every aspect of what we do, particularly elections and voter registration. Open, accurate, and transparency are critical elements of the way we conduct the people's business. In elections and in voter registration, we're the defenders of democracy. However, in the financial and accounting aspects, we are the protectors of the taxpayers' resources. We never lose sight of the fact that every dollar we must account for is a taxpayer dollar. And further, we also serve the public in two different areas of my office. The licensing division also issues marriage licenses, and we conduct the recording of all the vital records of Island County for land use, etc. Those are the permanent records that will, if in fact there's ever a need, restore the data for the county as a whole. And many people nationwide use these resources for genealogy and other family research. We have been fortunate in that we have been able to upgrade our positions. As time went on, we've ensured in the accounting side of our house that we had trained professionals who could move from one position to another and provide backup for all the others. We conduct the financial reporting for all the county departments and offices. We compile the data. We do not always do their work for them because that is not our requirement. Yes, we had a finding last year. The finding was not on the auditor's office, but we conducted the audit itself with the SAO's office, and therefore it was reported to us and Island County. For the license and recording division, we have enormous talent in every single division, but some of our longest tenured employees are in fact in supervisory positions.
30 seconds.
And we encourage the public to participate. Come and join us. See how we conduct our work. And if you have concerns about elections and voter registration, our door is always open. You may come at any time and we invite you. I would appreciate your vote to be reelected for another 4 years.
Thank you. The first question is for Sheilah. What steps and procedures are followed in your office to ensure the integrity of the vote in the mail-in balloting system?
Every ballot is accounted for from the time it enters our office from the post office or from the ballot drop box. There are a myriad of steps along the way to ensure that we can account for every envelope received, every ballot extracted, and this data is available to the voter by the VoteWA system. It enables the voter to track their ballot once we receive it and throughout the process until it is actually counted.
30 seconds.
We do not tabulate until election night, and on election night at 8 p.m., we're able to tabulate and total the ballots that we have received and processed up until that time. Always teams of 2 conduct all of the work once a ballot is extracted from the envelope.
Okay, thank you, Sheilah. Barbara, What proposals do you have to ensure the integrity of the vote? Can you unmute yourself, Barbara?
Okay. Since I do not currently work for the auditor's office, I'm not going to profess to know the ins and outs of how it currently operates. It's clearly not true. But I do think you start out with a baseline of evaluating the current practices, compare them to the recommendations.
Barbara, you muted yourself. Could you unmute yourself? Thank you.
All right. Did you hear anything I just said?
I did hear the first 30 seconds. Why don't we begin again? The proposals that you may have as you look at the integrity and preserving the integrity of the vote.
Okay. The first thing I would do would be start with essentially a gap analysis, look at current practices, compare them to recommendations from agencies such as the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. They have a whole list of best practices, many of which Sheilah just mentioned, honestly. In addition, I would benchmark against other counties to see what their practices are to make sure that we can be as progressive as possible to ensure our election integrity. We all know that election integrity, certainly over the last several years, has been challenged repeatedly. So it is incumbent upon us to continuously improve upon our practices to be able to identify any weak points we have to make sure that the door isn't open to challenge it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then lastly, what stands out as the most important function of the auditor office, and what skill sets do you have to perform this function? Barbara, I'll have you go first.
Well, the most important in the current climate, I am going to say, is ensuring election integrity. However, as other candidates for other positions have mentioned, the auditor role really is a managerial role. You have to manage the staff, manage the processes, make sure that the tools that are needed are actually available. And that is the single most important thing. Within my skill set for certainly the last 15 years, I have managed staff. I've managed professional development. I've implemented databases. I've worked on continuous improvement programs. That's sort of been that's the backbone of who I am in my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Sheilah, what stands out as the most important function of your office and the skill sets that you have to perform these functions?
Ensuring that you're capable of doing the work and training those who work for you and with you every step along the way, and imparting that information to the public that we serve. As a Washington State certified elections administrator, I have the skills and the training and education to perform those duties. And unless I am on the ballot, I do work in elections because I chose to be a working auditor. We don't have the luxury of additional staff. We have
30 seconds
workers that perform the work there for us ongoing. And then we have a myriad of talented temporary election workers. Everything we do in every division of the auditor's office is prescriptive. It is by statute. We can't deviate in many aspects of that work.
It's time now for your 1-minute closing statement. Sheilah, you're going to be first, followed by Barbara. Go ahead, Sheilah.
Again, thank you to the AAUW and the Stanwood-Camano News for this opportunity. I enjoy not only the aspect of serving the wonderful community that I am fortunate enough to live in, but also to work with the talented, skilled, and highly trained individuals that we have in our office. We have perhaps one of the best staff that we have ever had, and everyone is professional. We enjoy the work that we perform. We do it professionally, accurately, and everyone walks through our door and is welcome. We do not conduct our work in any partisan manner. I look forward to continuing to serve, and I ask for your vote and support so that I may continue this work for another 4 years. Yes, there are things that we want to continue doing and better opportunities that we embrace.
Thank you, Sheilah. Go ahead, Barbara.
All right. Well, I am happy to wrap up the forum, and thank you again for giving me time during this forum. I know it's been a long night, and I appreciate you staying to the end. I hope you have gained the information you need to make an informed decision in the upcoming election, and not surprisingly, I hope I have gained your vote. And have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Good night.
Thank
now.
you.
We are now ready to adjourn our 2022 Stanwood-Camano AAUW Candidates Forum. Thank you to the candidates for their preparations and presentations. Special thanks to Elaine Richards, our AAUW Candidate Forum champion and navigator, and all those who assisted in tonight's event. I'm Ann Milton, and I'm wishing you all a very good night. Thank you.